Everything we know so far about the University of Idaho murders when 4 University of Idaho students were murdered, clues seem sparse. Here's what led police to arrest suspect Bryan Kohberger and what's next for his trial. This story interested you? Come with me. Let me tell you about a tragic incident that happened to 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. As their best friend, it deeply saddens me to recount the events that took place in Moscow, Idaho on November 13, 2022. Kaylee, Madison, and Xana were roommates in an off-campus residence, and Ethan, who was Xana's boyfriend, was staying over that night. In a shocking turn of events, they were brutally murdered in their home. This devastating incident shook the community of Moscow, as it was the first murder since 2015. The authorities were left puzzled as there were no signs of forced entry into the house, where the victims were mercilessly stabbed. The murder weapon, believed to be a fixed-blade knife, was never found. It was initially declared as targeted killings, but no specific target could be identified. 2 other roommates who were present in the house at the time were unharmed. Despite the initial confusion, the investigation progressed. In late December, a breakthrough came when 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger was arrested in Pennsylvania and later extradited to Idaho. He was charged with the murders and burglary. Here's what unfolded that led the police to the alleged killer. On the fateful night of November 13, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin returned to Xana's home at 1122 King Road around 1:45 a.m. Shortly after, Madison Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves were dropped off at the same location by a private individual at approximately 1:56 a.m. Xana received a DoorDash order around 4 a.m., and moments later, she was using the TikTok app on her phone. Between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were tragically killed in a bedroom on the 3rd floor, while Xana and Ethan met the same fate in a bedroom on the 2nd floor. At 11:58 a.m., one of the surviving roommates made a 911 call from their phone, reporting an unresponsive person at the King Road residence. Responding authorities discovered the lifeless bodies. A knife sheath was found on the bed where Kaylee and Madison were found. On November 17, autopsies were conducted on the victims, confirming that all 4 had been stabbed multiple times. The Loudoun County coroner revealed that the victims were likely asleep when the attacks occurred, with some exhibiting defensive wounds. No signs of sexual assault were found. During a press conference on November 20, Moscow Police Captain Roger Lanier disclosed that the 2 unharmed roommates, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, were present in the house during the murders. However, they were not considered suspects. According to an affidavit released on January 5, one of the roommates, identified as DM, shared her harrowing experience with the authorities. She woke up in her 2nd-floor bedroom around 4 a.m. on November 13, hearing noises coming from upstairs. Shortly after, she overheard Kaylee saying, "There's someone here," followed by crying coming from Xana's room. DM then heard a male voice comforting Xana, saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." DM opened her bedroom door and came face to face with a man dressed in black, wearing a mask over the lower part of his face. She described him as a male who was approximately 5 feet 10 inches or taller, athletically built with bushy eyebrows. Shocked and frozen, she watched as the unknown man walked past her toward a sliding glass door at the back of the house. She quickly closed and locked her bedroom door. On November 25, the police issued a lookout request for a white Hyundai Elantra, model years 2011 to 2016. This request followed surveillance footage from the neighborhood, which captured a white sedan driving by the street where the victims lived multiple times between 3:29 a.m. and 4:04 a.m. on November 13. The vehicle was later seen leaving the area hastily at approximately 4:20 a.m. Forensic analysis identified the make, model, and possible year of the vehicle. On November 29, Washington State University Police informed Moscow police that a white Hyundai Elantra registered to Bryan Kohberger was associated with their campus. Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old PhD student in criminology, resided in Pullman, Washington, which is only 8 miles away from Moscow. During the investigation, a Moscow police officer reviewed Kohberger's Washington State driver's license photograph and noticed a striking resemblance to the unknown man seen by DM on November 13. On December 23, the police obtained a warrant to track Kohberger's cell phone. The phone's location data indicated it was in Pullman around 2:47 a.m. on November 13. During the time of the murders, Kohberger's phone was not connected to any network, suggesting it was either turned off or in airplane mode. However, at approximately 4:48 a.m. on November 13, Kohberger's phone reconnected to the cell network at a location south of Moscow. Additional cell phone records revealed that Kohberger's phone had been in close proximity to the crime scene between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. on November 13. Historical data also showed that his phone had made multiple visits to the King Road residence, at least 12 times since August 2022. On December 27, Kohberger, who had driven his Elantra to his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, was put under surveillance. Authorities collected trash from his residence with the hope of obtaining a DNA sample. The breakthrough came on December 28 when the Idaho State Lab compared the DNA from the trash to the DNA found on the knife sheath left at the crime scene. The DNA profile extracted from the Pennsylvania trash exhibited a high probability of being related to the person whose DNA was found on the knife sheath. In a pre-dawn raid on December 30, Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. He now faces 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. After appearing in court in Pennsylvania on January 3, Kohberger agreed to be extradited back to Idaho. A gag order was issued by the judge, preventing attorneys and officials from discussing the case with the public. On January 4, Kohberger arrived in Idaho and was booked into the Latah County Jail, where he remains in custody. On January 5, he appeared before Latah County Magistrate Judge Megan Marshall, who ordered him to be held without bail. As the investigation unfolds, it is clear that this is a complex case that will take time to resolve. Updates on the suspect, legal proceedings, and the crimes will continue to emerge. Our hearts ache for the loss of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan, and we hope justice will be served for them. We are producing videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays here on the channel. If you liked it, don't forget to leave your like and activate the notification bell to stay on top of all the news. I'll wait for you in the next video. But before leaving the channel, let me tell you, just one more story. I'll leave it at the end for you to click and watch.